Hello everyone, you're about to hear a brief summary of the movie The Sixth Player. Enjoy your viewing. The brothers are playing in the school basketball team. Tyler Fizrick asked his son Antoine, "Stop hitting the ball into the parking lot. The team is lagging behind by 1 point." And the man says that his youngest son should make the last throw. Kenny and Ick are forever. Mom wrote on the poster, "Little Kenny stopped at the ring. But he doesn't believe in himself and passed it back to my talented brother." However, Antoine couldn't throw the ball, and the team lost. The upset guy doesn't understand. How could he miss? Mr. Tyler reminds his sons, "You always need to play with passion and dignity. And also, if the brothers always stick together, then everything will become possible separately." My father talked to Kenny, and I asked him to believe in himself and his own strength. Years have passed. The Tyler brothers are the main stars of the university team. Thanks to their efforts, Washington Husky can become a champion for the first time in the last 10 years. During the break, the team's mascot got injured and passed out. Coach Pedersen is giving instructions. If they break through to the shield, I'll send you back to Siberia to eat ice in Serbia. The coach doesn't matter. Kenny did as he should have. I intercepted the ball and passed it to Antoine. He made a slam dunk. Commentators are asking Antoine for a professional career. Mom is congratulating her sons and speaking. My father would be very proud of them. The whole team gathered at the bar in the evening. Kenny is making out with a girl. And here is his full glass. Some disgusting fatty turned it upside down. Beer spilled all over the counter. It fell right into the handbag of a smiling stranger. Kenny had no choice but to apologize and leave. At the same time, Antoine got into a dispute. Standing in a circle with my back to him, blindfolded, Cheryl approached him, dissatisfied with that her boyfriend is a jerk. But Antoine is currently in the first place in the competition. But Kenny isn't having such a smooth time with girls right now. To prove otherwise, he argued with his brother. What can get a phone number? Absolutely any girl here. And Antoine pointed out that very same stranger. The girl understood what's going to happen now, and she just left the place. But she didn't run away from Kenny himself. Strange. How could such a talented player turn out to be so clumsy? The girl gave her name. RC signed John left Kenny won. One advice from Kenny Tyler: don't argue if you can't win. It turned out RC is a new journalist in the student newspaper, and she complimented Kenny in the last article. The Husky has an important game today. They win by 2 points for minutes before the end. The Huskies getting closer to the NS championship. Hey, Kenny committed a foul, and after 2 free throws, the Huskies went on the offensive. Kenny passed the ball to his brother, and he, in his usual style, did a slende. Something happened to him right at this moment, and the basketball player fell to the floor. Antoine was put on a stretcher and taken off the field. He promised his brother that he would return. Kenny is very worried about him. Antoine's pulse started to fade in the street, and in the ambulance, his heart stopped. And they started resuscitating the guy. The Huskies lost, but Kenny is not interested in this. He is hurriedly changing clothes to go to the hospital, but the coach entered the locker room with a mournful face, and he reported that Antoine died on the way to heart attack in the hospital. The whole team hugged a disappointed Kenny. After that, the Huskies suffered 4 consecutive defeats. Kenny can't get it together. He's being bothered by reporters, staying alone on the field. He is speaking out loud to Antoine and saying that he won't be able to handle it on his own. He needs his brother's help. RC approached the guy to express condolences. Kevin is complaining. Everyone is constantly bothering him about Antoine's death. The coach still has hope that they will be able to get into the top league. But for that, it's time to start winning. He scolded Serbian Zaji Herbak for that. He tried to take a 3-pointer. He never manages to do it. An unhappy Kenny tossed the ball up and back. For some reason, he hasn't come back yet. Coach Pedersen supports Kenny. However, it warns it's possible that we'll have to replace him before the end of the season. But he is an important link. If it works out, what can save the team? Pedersen needs a leader. According to Kenny's words, still playing with my brother in my heart. Huskies lose the next match by 12 points. And the worst player today is Kenny Tyler. Suddenly, the guy heard someone's whisper, giving him advice. The ball unexpectedly passed to Donnie, and he threw it into the ring. But the ball bounced out of the hoop for our opponents, even though he flew straight into it. 7 seconds before the end of the match, the Huskies are trailing by 1 point. The ball is with the opposing team, and suddenly he flies out of the basketball player's hands. Tyler is making a pass, but the ball, in a strange trajectory, lands directly in the basket. Having earned 3 points, wins the match. Great game. My brother heard Kenny's whisper in the locker room again. Am I really next to you? You won't recognize me. The faucets in my soul have opened up on their own, and Antoine emerged from the water. I tried to convince myself he's raving, but suddenly, my brother grabbed him from behind. I couldn't hit the ghost. Antoine reminds his brother of their father's words. If they are together, then everything will become possible. Nobody sees him except Kenny, because it was he who invited him. And my brother needs to get used to it. After all, they will fight for the championship. Kenny is now constantly distracted by his brother's jokes, and it looks very strange from the outside. The ghost doesn't leave him for a minute, and each time, he puts me in an awkward position. The game is equal today. Major has already run out of line, but Antoine threw him straight into the basket. Another time, he covered up Herbishka so that the competitors don't get any points. Antoine just sat on the ring, and he constantly throws the ball aside. Even with such tricks, the game turned out to be quite even. As always, everything will be decided in the last seconds. Kenny started pushing his brother. RC understands there's something wrong with him. Antoine decided, I have to do everything myself and rush her on the field. Kenny made a pass. He threw the ball into the basket in his brother's style. Thanks to Husky's victory, we finally made it to the top league. The truth is in the locker room. Kenny's strange behavior raises questions. The players have decided. He just went crazy from grief. Kenny approached RC, but according to her words, she is already accompanied by an invisible person. In light of recent events, he didn't even understand at first. What was that, a joke? Received an invitation for a date. The journalist started talk about the game. Somehow, all this looks supernatural. Players are hanging in the air for 6 seconds, and the ball is flying in some crazy trajectory. Unexpectedly, Anton came out of the pool. Kenny first screamed in fear, and then he started talking to a ghost. What is he seeing? RC is deep in thought. Antoine advises not to get involved with a journalist. She's definitely going to find out something. But in Kenny's opinion, his brothers are just jealous of him. And now the light is shining on him too. Girls only from horror movies. For these words, Antoine took Kenny for a chokehold right in the middle of the street, and he continued to torment. The basketball players have already convinced their star definitely scared the geese and is demanding something so that Kenny can explain himself. But my brother won't stop. And that weirdo still looks just as strange. In the end, he says, what's all this about his brother Antoine and him gasping for air? He's asking a ghost to show itself in front of others so that they would believe. Kenny threw the ball to Shorty Donnie and said, so that he would do a slam dunk. Antoine will help him jump. Dan didn't run away, and then he soared and flew to the basket. Everyone is impressed but not enough to believe in a ghost. Then, Antoine arranged a real poltergeist for them, and he appeared on the big screen. The mascot tried to get into the ring for the 15th time this season, but for him, it ended in trauma again. Today is the first game in the Maclaskas Higher League. The boss of RC sat down next to her and started talking. She needs a breakthrough in her career. Something strange is happening with the team, and Kenny is definitely involved in this. Whom she got close to. If she tries her best, you might end up on the cover of Sports News. Antoine demands so that my brother would give it. Serbian, and he scored 3 points. And the blonde managed to do everything. This is his first successful attempt out of 13 shots. A brawl broke out on the playground. When the opponent remembered his brother, Kenny the jerk is going to take a free throw. Antoine has taken possession of him, and he threw the ball as hard as he could under the dome. Next time, Antoine possessed the ball and demanded so that the jerk doesn't poke him in the eye. Frightened, he just threw the ball away and ran away. The Huskies won, and Kenny scored a whopping 36 points in the game. The team is celebrating in the locker room, and Kenny went on a date with RC. The girl is trying to find out what is the secret of his incredible game. As always, Antoine interfered in my brother's personal affairs. He doesn't like the female journalist in the toilet. Ken, despite himself, requires him not to get out when they don't ask, especially on a date. Another guy misunderstood him. Antoine keeps bothering the younger one, and he generously pours his dish spicy sauce, and then he pours water over it. Yes, I'm thirsty. The strange date has come to an end. Kenny already wanted to kiss RC, but with a crappy face, He buried his head in his brother's hands. After struggling, he still outpaced Antoine and kissed the girl on the cheek. And then one more time in the lips. Kenny had a big argument with his brother. The coach came out to the noise and asked what was going on. Who is he talking to? Antoine keeps complaining, and in the end, he gets offended. I left my brother and casually kicked the fisherman from the painting, but he actually didn't leave his brother at all. Huskies are showing excellent results in the championship. Once, Antoine even made the team members hit each other's faces. The Husky is approaching the finale during the next game. Antoine demands from his brother so that he would listen to him. And besides, now the coach, he entered Luther and broke the rules in his body. The player had to be replaced. Luther wants Antoine to leave him alone. And Kenny is talking to his brother. He's lost his mind and is already harming the team. Although, the Huskies won again with a difference of 19 points. McClaskey demands from RC so that she could get information about an unusual team. And at this moment, watching the game recording, she paid attention to that. Luther didn't even touch the ball during the throw. And she also read from his lips. The player mentioned the deceased Antoine. The team arrived in New York for the final games. Guys, let's go talk to Kenny. They no longer want to see Antoine in the team. He doesn't let anyone play, just as it was in life. The ghost went crazy and started trashing the room. Antoine is talking to the basketball players. They are ungrateful. The last word is Kenny Jimmy's. He's my brother. If he wants to play, let Kenny decide to play. It's time to tell RC everything. And here, McClaskey with sports journalists. She was invited to their place, but the girl still didn't want to reveal her boyfriend's secret. And I threw that sensational article into the trash. The Husky made it to the semifinals. The team's mascot is jumping towards the ring for the 17th time. And this time, Antoine still saved the poor guy and interrupted his string of injuries. The student star Smith is opposing the Dogs. He expressed Kenny, I respect and remember his brother with kind words. The team can't do anything to counter Smith. He's tearing apart his rivals. Antoine got angry and threw Smith into the basketball. Star Shield got injured, and his team lost. The Huskies made it to the final. Kenny came to visit the Smiths in the hospital. He has a concussion and a clavicle fracture. RC guessed it. This is Antoine's doing. He died but still commands his brother. Kenny, I came to the locker room to talk to Antoine before the game. He is asking him to stay on the bench today. Kenny is tired of cheating. Antoine reminds me that they have always been partners and dreamed of becoming champions. But Kenny thinks that he spent his whole life supporting and being in the shadow of his brother. If Antoine goes out on the field today, they just won't play. It's better to lose. Antoine got angry and left. The coach inspires the guys and asks them to give their all. Indeed, they are opposed by the undisputed favorites, 3 from the Minutemen team, future NBA stars. As expected, the Huskies are losing from the very beginning, even though they're trying very hard. The first half ended with a score of 42-22. Guys are upset. It seems like they really are nobody without Antoine. They can't win without a ghost. But Kenny has a different opinion. Of course, they should return to the field with Antoine. But in our hearts, with the understanding of what did he give to the team? The ghost heard his brother's words, shed a tear. The Huskies started to play with great enthusiasm. Commentators are noting Kenny's phenomenal game. Ziggy throws a three-pointer. 2 minutes before the end of the match, the Huskies only losing by 4 points. They're almost out. 17 seconds and a 2-point lead for the Minutemen. They are switching to a tight defense. The Minutemen have the ball for 7 seconds, but during the pass, Kenny intercepts the ball and rushes towards the basket. He's taking a shot from behind the 3-point line. And at this moment, Antoine appears to back up my brother. But Kenny asks him not to touch the ball. And the ghost disappears. And I didn't need any help. The ball went into the basket. And the Huskies became champions. When everyone was celebrating the victory, Antoine waved to his brother and headed towards the light. He admits it. It was definitely Kenny's victory, and he was just getting in his way. Before leaving, Antoine reminded the younger one about his father's words, and I wished him to become a champion next year too. Later, Kenny looks towards the light, and the coach is asking him, "This is our 6th player." "Yes," Kenny is answering. And until the end,